afternoon, and good evening to you all, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to react to this video, 8 reasons why older men are staying single today. Now, this is a growing phenomenon, and I would like to react to this video by Darwin McPherson that went viral a couple of months ago.
You want to know why men over 40 are staying single? I'll tell you why. Because society raised women to be wives to careers, not husbands. And now the men who were once overlooked are watching rebellion unfold and choosing peace over chaos. These ain't excuses. These are the raw, unfiltered reasons men are walking away from modern women, and many of them don't plan on looking back. You better watch this all the way through or keep wondering why that good man ain't calling you back. Let's set the record straight. This ain't about men being bitter. This ain't about men being weak. This is about men getting wise, men getting structure, and men finally realizing what marriage has turned into and what it costs when you choose a woman who ain't built for submission, peace, or purpose. And if you're one of those women thinking, well, maybe he just can't handle a strong woman, sit tight. You're about to find out he didn't lose interest. He gained clarity. First,
back in the day, men used to get a lot of submission and a lot of respect from women. And that's why they could sacrifice themselves, their health, their well-being to make sure that these women and their children are doing fine. But these days, you're expected to make the same sacrifices for low-quality women who don't respect you, who've never respected themselves, and they're always so promiscuous. You can sacrifice for a virgin, can't you, gentlemen? Let's go ahead.
First reason, divorce destroys a man's life. Older men have seen it too many times, good men getting gutted in court. He loses his house, he loses his pension, his legacy, and she walks away with half his world for bringing nothing but attitude to the table. Why would any man jump into a legal system designed to reward rebellion and punish masculinity? Reason number 2.
Let's talk about this. Marriages used to be the institution that safeguards children, the rearing and raising of children, impacting good morals, good values. But since the revolution, feminist revolution, this has been diluted because the women are no longer at home. And of course, the divorce courts came in hard, where if a man gets divorced, for whatever reason, he will lose almost everything that he has ever made, all the savings, investors, he has to split with the wife, and more often than not, never gets to meet or see the children as a normal human being. You are told by courts that you need to see the child twice a week or whatever the stipulation may be. That is simply not a good deal. And as I say, marriages are businesses. You must go in understanding what are you getting out of it.
There ain't no wives left, just women with Wi-Fi and wigs. Let's be real, men aren't seeing helpmeets anymore. They're seeing overweight, masculine, overly opinionated, sexually entitled women with teenage kids and zero submission. You think a 45-year-old man who's built structure wants to babysit dysfunction? No.
And this is actually the crux of it. A lot of women are simply not worth it. They've been through the grind. They've slept with so many men, had so many abortions. They've probably become drunks in the process, overweight. They've become extremely aggressive, disrespectful, amongst so many unattractive qualities. Why would a man put himself through this? I don't understand it. You are in danger of losing your wealth and your sanity and your savings and investments for this quality of woman? No.
He's dodging destruction, not avoiding love. Reason number 3, peace over problems. Every time. Men are realizing something dangerous to the modern women. Their peace is more valuable than your presence. Why invite drama into a house that's already quiet, clean, and under control? A real man doesn't chase chaos just because he's lonely. Reason number 4.
One of the things that I normally see and I wonder what is wrong with the modern man. I see them even in public being disrespected by their women. But now imagine what happens behind closed doors. My goodness, it is hell. But these men keep staying on there either out of cowardice or because they simply don't know that there is better or they can get better. They've closed themselves to these really awful people. And you wonder why. Peace is crucial, gentlemen, to build anything.
Most of y'all ain't wives. You're just performing until you get to the altar. Men are waking up to the bait and switch. You cook during the dating phase, smile during engagement, and once the ring landed, you turn into his opposition, not his support. Older men now see it coming from a mile away, and they're choosing out before they get dragged in.
Now, the main thing about that is that a lot of women, because they are not worthy, because they realize the kind of things they've done, the people they are, men wouldn't want them. So they've gone into acting mode. They pretend a lot. They can deceive you for months, for years. But if you're a discerning man, you should be able to see red flags all the time. So understand what the red flags are and apply accordingly.
Reason number 5, masculinity is now considered a threat. We live in a culture where structure, headship, and strength are labeled toxic. So older men ask, why step into a system that demonizes everything you stand for and then expects you to pay for dinner too? Reason.
This is one of the worst kind of propaganda that's been spread across all societies. Toxic masculinity. There's nothing toxic about masculinity. They talk about toxic masculinity while enjoying the fruits of masculinity. All the buildings, technology, security. But then they have to drop it down because, in my belief, the powers that be want to weaken the man. So everything that makes you potent has to be labeled toxic so you do not exercise. Stay informed.
Reason number 6, women compete more than they cooperate. I'm gonna say it again. Women compete more than they cooperate. Men don't want to debate every decision in their home. They don't want to fight for respect from a woman who thinks submission is oppression. If a woman can't follow, she don't belong in a marriage. She belongs in corporate America, not your house. Reason.
What happens really is that they see their friends are getting a lot more than what they have, maybe a lot more trips, clothes, bags, name it. And they get competitive with their friends and transfer that pressure to the husband. That's what happens. It is envy on their part, and now they want you to fulfill that because they feel some kind of way that they should have a vehicle as the neighbor, the clothes, the cologne, the perfume, name it, the makeup. It is simply envy of looking over the fence.
Number 7, the feminized marriage model failed. The happy wife, happy life formula? Yeah, that turned into miserable husband, maxed out credit card, and zero intimacy.
Who bought this lie that happy wife, happy life? So your own well-being and say happiness, although I'm not a big proponent of chasing happiness, or your satisfaction has to be subservient to the happiness of a woman, no matter what cost. Often is at the cost of the family and the children themselves. So if you ever hear a man say such nonsense, well, you know what to tell him or do to him.
Older men are rejecting this emotional dictatorship disguised as a relationship. Reason number 8, their value finally caught up with their age. Most women peak in attention by 25. Most men peak in value by 45. And now, older men are finally being respected for what they bring, not just what they can buy. They're not desperate. They're discerning. Reason number 9, older men want purpose, not pretty problems. They don't want a fling. They want alignment. They're not interested in another Instagram model with attitude. They're looking for a wife who builds legacy, not a woman who wants to match energies.
One of the things that you should never do is just let your woman do whatever she wants. She's married to you, and she's still showing her body on the internet. She's still courting other men. Understand that for what it is. She's courting other men, and you're simply a placeholder and she thinks a thing, and you are simply a placeholder until she thinks she's found a better option. Don't be the placeholder, gentlemen.
Reason number 10. High standards or no standards at all. Older men don't need company. They need cooperation. And if a woman can't match his vision, values, and order, he'd rather keep his house clean, his spirit quiet, and his wallet closed.
As an older man myself, I would tell you that I do not have time for this. I will not tolerate it. And it's because you have seen it all. I see where it ends. And for that reason, I will not tolerate it even for 1 second. The moment there's a slight inkling of disrespect, she is gone. I do not get insecure or I think I'll be lonely. No. She leaves immediately and she can go disrespect some simp somewhere else.
Reason number 11. He's experienced more peace without a woman. I'm gonna say that again. Older men have experienced more peace without a woman.
You have no idea how true that is. After you've done it for a few times, then you're alone, doing your business, traveling how you want, or doing whatever kind of business that you want. So without having to hear somebody chirp in your ear throughout. It is peaceful. And for most men, we do not need women around to be motivated to chase dreams, like some simps out here.
This one hurts, but it's real. Most men have experienced more peace being single than they ever had in a relationship. No drama, no arguing, no ego wars. And once a man takes that kind of quiet, he stopped chasing noise. Reason number 12. Wisdom comes with wrinkles. Older men ain't simping anymore. They've been through it. Lied to, used, manipulated. Now they don't waste time. They test first, trust later, and never negotiate headship again.
Let me tell you something. And that's one thing I never actually thought. When you are younger, you think you know everything until you get older. And you can see things a mile off. You can see a three or four a mile off. You can see a liar and a scumbag a mile off. You understand what every word, every statement means. This is not to say there are not a lot of older men who are very dumb and emotion-driven out here, but they are much rare than when your testosterone is pumping in your 20s and maybe early 30s. When you're older, that is gone.
Reason number 13. The dancing monkey phase is over. He used to dress up, say the right things, and play Mr. Romantic just to impress a woman who wasn't even a wife. Not anymore. Now he leads. And if she can't follow, he exits. No performance, just purpose. Reason 14. The dating pool is spiritual poison. Tinder, Instagram, DMs, fake femininity, softcore porn disguised as selfies. Older men are done swimming in this cesspool and calling it dating. They're looking.
Let me tell you something. It's actually a lot more stressful than he's willing to say. It is not any good for anyone. It doesn't matter whether it's a younger man or an older man. Because women are given so many options and you see what they've done with it. They're simply not handling it well. They're taking every option, leads them down the drain, but they don't care. They will chase in the next high. And that high never really ends. It becomes an addiction. You cannot compete with the internet for a woman's attention. If your woman is an internet 3 or 4 looking for attention, stay clear. Leave her immediately. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
Reason number 15. Loss of sex drive, or they just avoiding intimacy altogether. Some men stay single because they lost the desire for sex or see no use for it anymore. And while that might seem like peace on the surface, let's call it what it is. It's spiritual decay disguised as maturity. If a man is no longer interested in physical intimacy with a wife, he's not healthy. He's disconnected from purpose.
Now, I understand this language, they think about spirituality. He's using that a lot. I find it a bit useless. The lack of desire or lessening of desire is caused by a very natural biological process where testosterone production starts to decline. A lot of men still do have the urges, but it's not as strong or as motivating to go chasing the punani. It is what it is. There's nothing to do about spiritual decay or any of these whoop-de-woo kind of concepts that people throw around. Sometimes you're just unhealthy, you have high blood pressure, diabetes, that would affect you. Maybe you use the wrong drugs and all that. So all this play into the lack of desire. It's not really all this spiritual poison, blah, blah. Just ignore this. Bad description, Mr.
Sex within a marriage isn't just pleasure. It's covenantal reinforcement. So while this may be a reason, it's also a warning. You might want to go get that fixed. Reason 16, desire for freedom without accountability. Let's not lie. Some men want freedom, not structure. They don't want to lead a wife, raise children, or build anything that requires discipline. And while it may feel logical to avoid responsibility, in my book, that's rebellion from your divine purpose. Freedom without leadership is chaos.
I do think it's a problem when a man is not motivated to build anything or doesn't want to take responsibility for anything. And I don't mean it's restricted to only these relationships. Start businesses, be the best person at your workplace, be athletic, chase a hobby that makes you money, and all these things play in. You can have a family if you want. It adds to that, but it's not the only thing that legitimizes a man's effort. So there's another point that I find has weaknesses.
And if you're running from being the head of a household, you're not avoiding bondage. You're avoiding maturity. Reason number 17, fear of emotional vulnerability. A lot of men avoid relationships not because of bad women, but because they don't want to feel, reveal, or heal. They've been hurt, so they just stay cold. A man who can't lead emotionally will either become a tyrant or a coward. You don't escape betrayal by shutting down. You escape by building with discernment. Reason number...
Now, I will also disagree with that. This emotional vulnerability, it's this new thing in the West where they're trying to make men as emotional as women, or you need to take care of your mental health or whatever it is. You're supposed to be stoic as a man. Nobody cares if you cry. Women find it extremely cringy and unattractive if you cry and show vulnerability. You'll be told that several times, but show it and you will regret it. Do not take advice of especially Western men when it comes to these emotional issues with women. They are not being able to handle it because they've joined their women in the emotionalism. It doesn't work for men. You need to be stoic, handle your problems. Things hurt, things are difficult, get over it. Nobody cares.
Number 18, and this is actually the final reason. Thanks for watching. Make sure y'all like this video. Reason number 18, some just don't want to lead at all. And let's be brutally honest. Some older men aren't staying single because of women. No, they're staying single because they're lazy, disobedient, and refuse to carry weight. They're weak, not wise. They're passive, not peaceful. And they'll blame the culture while secretly knowing they're avoiding their calling. All right.
Now, that is all well and good. Yes, of course, a lot of older men have grown up being losers, so that's not going to change when they're older. It's actually more difficult. If you grew up being a loser, a drunk, you don't do anything, you don't take responsibility for anything, you will become a loser old man. That is a fact, and that one we have to accept it as such. And just don't be that guy, because when you get older, the motivations get harder to find, unless you've trained them into your personality as you've grown. That the motivation for you to succeed does not hedge on just a few of these things like marriages and relationships, but your own need to be great. That is what you need to focus on. Everything else comes and latches on to your greatness. Do not become all these vulnerable men, emotional men. Do not become those. Hunker down, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you did glean something of this reaction. Please do leave a like and a comment about the video. You can share to the people that will want to hear this message, especially the younger men. And until next time, peace.